on to Baylor. Should be a fun game in Waco on Saturday night. When you get right down to Baylor, obviously it's about some offense. Just knowing Coach Briles and his history with what they've accomplished offensively, what they've put on the field over the course of the years. It's pretty impressive what they're doing. They're number one scoring offense in the country, number one. It's number one everything it looks like, but averaging 750 yards and 70 points, extremely efficient. This dates back to the last 4 or 5 games of the year last year as well. From a whole overall team point of view, they've won 7 games in a row. And did it pretty impressively towards the end of the year with some big wins. So they're going to be confident. They're going to be ready to go. They're coming off a bye week. They're going to be fresh and energetic, and will be a pretty dynamic place to play on Saturday night. Defensively, they've shown a whole lot of improvement. It's about the same guys that we faced when they were here last year. They haven't changed a whole lot. Their personnel, they got a lot of experienced guys. Anytime you start 7 starters like that bunch we played last week, on defense, they were tough. And the reason I felt like they were extremely tough is because they had 7 or 8 seniors that were playing at a pretty high level. Baylor's defense is very similar. They got 7 or 8 starters that are playing a lot, that have taken a bunch of snaps. And Coach Bennett's been there for quite a while. Been speaking the same language to them for quite some time, and they're just doing it at a very high level. They've created nine turnovers. I think they've scored 5 or 6 times on defense. I don't know exactly what that number is, but I'm watching the tape and I'm like, geez, another touchdown for their defense. I think their defense has scored more points than they've given up, over the course of 3 games. So a little bit of an unknown. Just they've only played basically 3 half-a games, with their starters. They just haven't played a whole bunch this year, but we're very familiar with them because it's the same group. They've been together there for 6-7 years. It's the same offense that they've been running since he won high school championships at Stephenville in Texas. And defensively, I look at it, looks like what we prepared for when we went against Coach Bennett when he was at Kansas State. So very familiar with what they are, who they are, what they're about, and looking forward to the challenge to yet playing another undefeated top 15 team, and that's what we like to do. So looking forward to the challenge this week. With that said, take some questions.
Dana, is that you mentioned that kind of off the cuff there, that another undefeated team. Does that begin to wear on you at some point? I mean, even in the Big 12, this is unusual what you face.
We don't face one next week. Again, we're playing a 0-0 bye team, but then the week after that, we're probably going to face a 6-0 top 15 Texas Tech team. So I don't know. Get used to it. It's not something that's going to catch us by surprise. We've played on the road. We've handled a quality opponent on the road. We obviously didn't handle one, but we have handled one that's pretty good. The travel won't affect us. I can tell them about what the environment's going to be like. I don't know. Nothing that they throw at us is going to surprise us. We've been in 5 real games, and we've handled most of them okay. So I think we're prepared to go do it. I don't know if that answered your question or.
Danny, you mentioned their defense obviously greatly improved, like yours. Is it just a simple explanation of experience, or is there something else that they're doing defensively?
No, they changed some things up for what they did against us last year. Some of the things they did against us last year, I don't think was in their comfort zone very well. They fixed whatever problems occurred. We had a good game that day. I mean, Gino was on, and we got behind them and made some big plays. It's how they play too. That wasn't the only high-scoring game that we were in last year. It wasn't the only high-scoring game that they were in last year. There is some things that happen throughout the course. It's kind of how they play. I mean, they're much more up tempo than Oklahoma State. We pushed the ball last week, but not nearly as much as we pushed the ball last year. So last year when us and Baylor got together, you were looking at two experienced offenses that really pushed the envelope on tempo. We haven't been doing that as much, but we did it more last week, and we were more comfortable doing it last week because we did a little better job of moving the ball. With that said, they're going to do it all the time, and so, but last week there was a lot of change of possessions. This game coming up, there will be a lot of change of possessions. So the more possessions you have, the more plays you run, the more chances you have of scoring points. So it's in their nature to have high-scoring games. But yeah, both defenses are better. Both defenses have senior leadership. We're getting tremendous senior leadership out of Will Clark, Shaq Rowell, Darwin Cook, Doug Rigg. That makes a difference. And then all the freshmen that we played last year are not freshmen anymore. We don't have a revolving door at safety when it comes to a lot of new people. We have a couple of JC guys that Dontrell Hyman and Brandon Golson that are rushing the quarterback at a very high level. So we have a different dynamic going on than what they do. What they do is they got guys that have been starting there for a long time, and they've got a year better.
Are you at all surprised by what they're doing offensively, considering they did have some turnover at key spots and being able to kind of seamlessly make that transition for them?
No, because here why they had some turnover, but this is his 7th year there. I forget. I should know this because I replaced him at Houston. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is their 6th year. His 6th year. So he's a program builder. He does a great job of building the program. He had that mentality since day one there. So they've given them a lot. They've improved a lot of their facilities. They got, from what it was when he first got there to what it is now is night and day. And 2 years when we go back, it'll be in a brand new stadium as well. You guys are going to see the one that they have, and you're going to go, what's wrong with this one? But they're improving it for specific reasons. With that said, the people that he's replacing the guys with are guys that have been in the program. When RG3 left, they replaced him with what was the guy's name last year?
Florence.
Yeah, with Joey Florence, who had been there as a 5th-year senior and played at a very high level. They lost a receiver to the NFL, and then they replaced him with another. That number 2, Terrence Williams, was a great player last year. He leaves, and they replace them with this Godly kid. They're all guys that have been in the program. They're not going out trying to quick fix it like we had to do this past year because we didn't have the numbers that we needed to have in order to be successful. So, kudos to him. And then they're replacing Florence with Bryce Petty, who's been in the program for 3 years. So they got guys that have been in the program, and when guys leave, they replace them with guys that have been sitting in those meetings and practicing the way that they practiced for over the course of the last however many years.
They've played one game. We're going to have to play one game in 27 days. What are some of the issues there that you have to consider with that?
Them?
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't like it. I don't know. I don't know how he does it, to be honest with you. He was on staff with me at Tech, and we did what we did at Tech, but I don't know how he changed it from them and all that. He's always been better at the end of the year. He understands kids. He understands how to practice. He understands how to keep them fresh. If they've dealt with some scrimmaging and stuff, I'm not sure.
Timing's a big deal there, right?
Yeah, that's always an issue with your off week, with your bye week. How do you handle a bye week as far as keeping your guys fresh, as far as keeping your guys the timing good, and you want to heal people up. I'm looking forward to next week with our bye week just to get some guys healthy and to rejuvenate some people, coaches and players included. Whether it's an advantage to them or not, I don't know.
I know you haven't had a chance to evaluate them yet, but any insight into Ford or Clint, their injuries, and your feelings on their ability this week?
They're day to day. I don't. They didn't go on Sunday. I mentioned that yesterday, but we didn't try to let them go on Sunday. We purposely put ice on their parts and let them sit around, and then rested up and did a bunch of treatment yesterday and today, and we'll go out and see what they can do today.
If they're both healthy, do you have a feeling on who you go with?
Well, then again, health. I don't know what healthy means. If they're 100% right now, we would probably go with Clint, just because he did a good job of keeping plays alive and had some savvy to him and reacted to the game of football pretty well. With that said, if he's half speed and Ford's 100%, it'd probably make more sense to go with Ford. But if they're both 50%, it might make more sense to go with Paul. Well, that's why you practice on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and in the game of football, if you're injured or healthy or what your percentage is makes a big difference.
Danny, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you've never had a quarterback get injured before. I think I remember that from your very beginning press conferences.
Yeah, that's accurate. We've never had one miss the game. So I told Ford that last week. I said, you're the first quarterback that's ever missed the game, big and strong in my butt. He thinks he's all big and strong and tough, but he's the first quarterback that's ever missed the game. Opportunity arose for Clint to get out there and play ball. He did a good job, and we'll continue to get better. I lost several years off my life with the communication. He's a long ways away from being able to operate our offense the way I want him to operate our offense. With that said, he reacted to the game well and was glad he did. Put us in position to win. But we'll evaluate those guys Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and see where they're at. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, very good. I'm not a doctor, obviously, but torn pectoral sounds really serious, and usually that thing needs surgery or whatever. Is this not that serious?
It's not ripped from the bone.
Okay.
If it's ripped from the bone, then they can surgery or something. I don't know. I'm not a doctor either, but it either works or it doesn't. And his range of motion is better today than it was last week.
Okay.
But it has to, and it's not going to heal itself. It's going to be ripped forever. So the soreness goes away and you just play through it.
Two things, Dan.
It sounds worse than it is. It's really just has to heal, then it'll be fine.
Two things. First, when do you have to have a quarterback practice so he can play on Sunday?
With these guys, they need to practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because we're dealing with three guys that are just so inexperienced. So if they can't practice Tuesday and Wednesday, I doubt I'm going to put one of them in there on Thursday to play on Saturday. Just because these guys need the reps, and if they don't have the reps throughout the course of the week, I'm not going to feel very good about it.
The other thing I wanted to ask you, and I don't know if you can run me through this or not. You've talked about the communication and how difficult it was. Can you give us an idea of not give your signals or anything like that, but what goes into communicating a play from the moment the last play ends to?
Well, yeah, I get it. It starts with, view it as learning sign language. Just try to learn the sign language of the alphabet. Well, how long does that take you? You can probably learn it in the course of a week. Just the actual sign language and all that. So that's step one, just learning what the signals are and what they mean. And then from there, it's just you got to process the play. So I give him the play, and then he's got to process it. Okay, and then he's got to make sure the personnel is right, where people lined up, get them lined up, get it communicated to the O-line, get to the line of scrimmage, relay the cadence, go through the cadence. You may have motion, you may have a change snap count. You may easy it, you may change the play altogether, which he has no clue how to do that at this point. The more you do that, the easier it gets, and that's what he has to improve on. And that's on him. He should be better at that right now. There's times in the game where I signaled a play to him and he looked at me and like I was from outer space, and that's when that's when I would throw my fits, because it's just frustrating, because it's like communicating with somebody that speaks a different language. So the language that they learned at Florida State's different than the language that we're speaking here. obviously, you know, and it's taking them some time, and then from there, it's all about, okay, I got it, it communicates it to everybody, and now, okay, now what do I do with the ball? Well, that's a whole nother thing. That's experience, that's, you know. But the good news is when he snaps the ball, reacting to the game of football is why we won.
When during the fall did you realize you had a long way to go in the communication process with him?
I'd say it's been day one, you know, practice here. I mean, he's been here since August 1, you know, so, you know, you get to a point where we had to make a decision and just go with it, obviously. I don't think anybody would been happy losing to William and Mary. So he'll get better with that. And me and him been practicing it all week and stuff, you know, and we just walked by each other. And I had a real good one for him the other day, but hopefully y'all didn't see that one.
Josh Lambert, can you talk about him a little bit? He had one blocked, missed one, and came back to hit two pretty huge field goals for you later. I mean, to get that out of a young kid.
Yeah, it's probably because I didn't yell at him. I would have yelled at him a year ago, but I promised Coach DeForest I would not talk to the kickers under any circumstances whatsoever. Just missed one. It wasn't a chip shot. You know, he missed the first one. I think one got blocked. You know, the one got blocked. The guy lined up off sides. Well, no wonder he gets there and blocks it when he's lined up 1.5 feet off sides. You know, I mean, I could get there if I line up off sides. And then we had penetration in the middle. Their PAT block team was the best I've ever seen. I mean, they had pressure on the inside. Marquise, bless his heart, got blown up every snap. You know, they had this stuff coming off the edge with number 4 and number 11, who were tremendous at it, been doing it for 4 years. They just got pressure and they blocked it, you know. So, yeah, that's frustrating, but for him to be able to block all that out and then go out there and the whole PAT field goal team be able to just dig in and keep them shielded and punch 2 or 3 of them through in the second half was big. You know, it means we're getting better.
Did you really have to promise not to talk to the kickers, or were you
I
joking?
did. I actually promised them. I promised them I would not fight, and I haven't.
What about your punt returners? Talking to them?
No, you know, after looking at it, I was more frustrated than y'all with our return game. I can assure you of that. After looking at our punt return, you know, their punter sprayed it. I mean, he kicked it 3 miles in the air and it only went 15 yards. I mean, he sprayed it everywhere. So I don't know what exactly their net punt was, but it wasn't nearly as good as what our net punt was. Okay, so we checked that off as a win. Now, you know, Jordan, he made a mistake, right? I mean, he lines up on the 10, and if you back up, you don't catch it. That's kind of the cardinal rule in punt return. Well, I'll be darned if you didn't back up 7 yards and catch it. You know, coaching error. Well, we worked on it Sunday night, and we put him on the 10-yard line. We punted, and he backed up, and then he had to get out of the way so he wouldn't catch it. I thought Ronnie's confidence on punt returns was okay. He's getting there. He's catching it. Kick return is a different story. I think our returners on kick return are garbage. It's not the front line, you know, which a lot of times if guys catch it and they run and they get drilled, now it's the blocking, the front line people, the scheme, all that stuff's good. Kickoff returns 100% timing. You catch it and you run. And we have yet to find guys that can catch it and run. So we had open additions on Sunday night, and I would anticipate a couple of new people back there.
That punter kick then,
Kick return.
a kick,
Yeah, you can't just plug people in to be punt returners. I mean, you get that's disaster. So the two that we've been working, we're going to continue to work with them, and if we get some fieldable punts, then hopefully we can get some yards. But again, what I look at is net punt. And our net punt for our punt return team was not a disaster. Our kick return was a disaster.
you think you fouled someone in kick return?
Well, there's about 6 bodies. We're going to work them again tomorrow. We'll work them again tomorrow, make a decision. But I would be anxiously awaiting, and I don't know who is. It may take us Thursday to figure it out. We got about 8 bodies back there. We're going to watch them catch it and see how fast they can go forward.
Dana, with the signaling with Clint, I'm assuming, I mean, obviously you work on it in practice, that's good, but if he's behind in practice, do you want him working on it outside, and then are there things he can do, like flashcards or something like that
We're
with
under
the teammate?
we're under the 20-hour rule.
But could he on his own though, is what I'm saying. I mean, are there ways, I mean, is that
Well, not
too
really.
elementary?
Yeah, it's really just me and him. I mean, it's like two people
Right.
communicating. You know, and I gotta get better at it. You know, he's gotta get better at it. We both gotta get better at it. And then just through practice, through games, through experience, through communication, it's not just about signals. You know, it's not just the signals. It's getting the signals and then relaying it to everybody else. It's just part of being a quarterback. We do it a little bit differently than what he's used to, and we're gonna adapt as coaches. He's gonna adapt, and we're gonna get better.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
How many fingers was that, Tony? See, you didn't answer me. You didn't answer that.
All right. Oh, yeah. Everything's still set up. You ready?
Everywhere.
I'm all right. Here, why don't we,